Sun Wukong, the Monkey King. He was not born a god. He began as a stone monkey emerging from a magical rock on a mountaintop, living among other monkeys. After witnessing the death of his fellow monkeys for the first time, he resolved to seek the path to immortality for himself and his kind, which led him to a Taoist martial artist and the acquisition of the ability to transform into 72 different shapes. One day, in his sleep, his soul was dragged to the underworld as the Soul Reapers mistakenly thought his time was up. He furiously tore up the Book of Life and Death, striking out the names of all monkeys, thereby achieving eternal life. Since he achieved immortality, the Jade Emperor appointed Sun Wukong to a petty position as keeper of heavenly horses to contain him. Insulted by the act, he stole and devoured all the peaches of immortality, consuming Laozi's pills of immortality, before returning to Mount Wagwa and declaring himself the Great Sage. He then defeated the heavenly army dispatched to capture him. The Buddha intervened, and Sun Wukong was pinned beneath a mountain for 500 years before Tang Senzong rescued him, and they started their journey to the west to retrieve Buddhist sutras. This journey transformed him from a chaotic troublemaker into an enlightened being, ultimately achieving Buddhahood as the victorious fighting Buddha. Since he showcased immense power defeating the heavenly army and achieved Buddhahood, we will put him at A tier. God of Wealth. The god of wealth, known as Kai Shen Ye, is often depicted in rich golden robes, holding a scroll or a gold ingot. The title God of Wealth doesn't refer to a single individual. It's more like a position. What sets the god of wealth apart is that he doesn't rule the heavens or the underworld. He rules over something incredibly important to mortals: fortune and success. His entire role is to bestow riches and abundance upon the worthy. Today, he's one of the most widely worshipped gods in Chinese culture. Every Lunar New Year, especially on the 5th day, households light incense and set off firecrackers to welcome him, hoping he'll stop by and bless them with a prosperous year. But power-wise, he's more like the CFO of Heaven. Influential, yes, but not calling the universal shots. Sorry, but money can't buy god-tier authority. Because of that, we're placing him at D tier. Guan Yu. He was a real general who lived around 220 CE during the Three Kingdoms era. He's super easy to recognize. A long flowing beard, intense stare, and a giant curved blade called a guandao. In life, Guan Yu was famous for his loyalty, especially to his sworn brother Liu Bei. That kind of ride or die dedication made such a strong impression that after his death, people started worshipping him as the ultimate symbol of honor, brotherhood, and justice. And his reputation just kept leveling up. Chinese emperors gave him bigger and fancier titles over the centuries, eventually calling him Emperor Guan. What makes Guan Yu unique is that everyone worships him. Confucians see him as the perfect role model. Taoists treat him as a divine protector, and Buddhists even view him as a bodhisattva, an enlightened being who helps others. That's basically the religious triple crown. Everyday people pray to him too. Soldiers, police officers, business owners, and even triads look to Guan Yu as a symbol of courage and loyalty. We're putting him at B tier, highly respected, worshipped across multiple traditions, and one of the most well-known divine protectors out there. Jade Emperor. At the top of the Chinese celestial hierarchy sits the Jade Emperor. He's the supreme ruler, not just of heaven, but of earth and the underworld too. You won't find many dramatic solo adventures about him like you do with Sun Wukong, but make no mistake, no one outranks him. Even the Buddha is considered his equal, not his superior. In myth, the Jade Emperor is portrayed as a wise and fair ruler who oversees the vast bureaucracy of the heavens. Every god and spirit has a role, and he's the one delegating duties, approving cosmic decisions, and keeping order across all realms. Jade Emperor doesn't usually show up in flashy battles himself. We'll say he's more of a managerial god than a frontline fighter. We're putting him at S tier. He might not be the most exciting character, but in terms of power and position, he's simply at the top. Pan Gu. In Chinese mythology, before gods, before people, and before anything at all, there was just a cosmic egg floating in the void. Inside that egg, pure chaos, yin and yang, light and dark, everything mixed together, and Pangu asleep in the middle of it. After 18,000 years, Pangu finally woke up and realized things were a little too cramped, so he picked up a giant axe and split the egg in two, separating heaven from earth. From that moment on, he held them apart, standing between the sky and the ground, growing taller each day to keep them from crashing back together. He kept this up for ages, until he finally collapsed. But even in death, Pangu didn't disappear. His body became the world, his breath turned into the wind, his voice became thunder, his eyes became the sun and moon, and his bones became mountains. Pangu doesn't show up in later myths because, well, he is the world now. You don't pray to him, and he doesn't run a heavenly office. But without him, nothing else exists. No gods, no mortals, no stories. That's why we put him at S tier. He's not the ruler of the universe, he is the universe. Nüwa. If Pangu gave us the world, Nüwa gave us us. She's known as the Mother Goddess, the one who created humanity and later held the sky together when everything almost fell apart. According to legend, after the world was formed, Nüwa appeared and found herself completely alone. No people, no animals, just silence. So, to fix that, she started molding little human figures out of yellow river clay, one by one. Each one was shaped by hand, carefully and lovingly, but that was slow. And Nüwa had bigger plans. So she switched it up, dipped a rope in the mud, swung it around, and wherever the drops landed, a person popped up. Some stories say this explains why some people are finely shaped, and others, well, less so. But her story doesn't stop there. One day, the sky cracked open. Some say it was caused by a battle between two powerful gods. Either way, the world was falling apart. Nüwa didn't panic. She melted 5 colored stones to seal the crack. Thanks to her, the world didn't collapse. That's why we're placing her at A tier. She might not rule over heavens or command armies of gods, but she created humanity and literally saved the world. Gong. Gong, or the god of the land, is one of the most down-to-earth figures in Chinese folk religion. He's not a ruler of heaven or commander of armies. He's your local friendly neighborhood god, watching over a specific patch of land and the people who live on it. Every village or neighborhood can have its own Gong. If you've ever seen a small shrine near a tree, a roadside, or outside someone's home, that's probably his. According to legend, he was once a kind man who deeply cared for his community. After his death, the people began honoring him, and he was later appointed by the Jade Emperor to officially protect the land and handle local spiritual matters, kind of like a divine village chief. People pray to him for practical things: good harvests, smooth business, protection, or even a bit of luck. Offerings range from incense to roast chicken. And on his birthday, the second day of the second lunar month, many still celebrate with prayers, food, and firecrackers. Gong doesn't wield cosmic power, but he's approachable and beloved, especially in rural life. Think of him as that friendly elder who's always there, quietly keeping an eye on things. We are putting him in D tier, as he's not powerful in the big mythological sense. However, in everyday life, he plays a steady and meaningful role. Mazu. Next is Mazu, the beloved goddess of the sea and protector of those who travel by water. Mazu's story starts on Earth, as a young girl named Lin Moniang in 10th century Fujian. From a young age, she was known for her calm nature and mysterious spiritual abilities. In one well-known story, while her brothers were caught in a typhoon at sea, she fell into a trance and guided them safely home. That moment turned her into a local legend. She passed away in her late 20s, or, according to some stories, ascended into the heavens from a mountaintop, never to be seen again. Over time, people began to believe she had become a goddess, watching over the seas like a protective older sister. Fishermen, sailors, and coastal merchants throughout China, Taiwan, Vietnam, and Southeast Asia built shrines and temples in her honor. She's often honored with the title Queen of Heaven, and even today, people pray to her before boarding boats, especially during stormy seasons. Mazu doesn't control the universe, but her role is deeply rooted in everyday protection and community faith. She's powerful in her own domain and fiercely loved. That's why we're placing her at C tier. Not a cosmic ruler, but a strong, regionally important goddess with a lasting legacy across centuries of seafaring cultures. Nezha. Nezha's story starts in the Shang dynasty, where he was born to a military commander named Li Jing. But his birth was anything but normal. His mother was pregnant for 3 years and 6 months, and when she finally gave birth, it wasn't a baby. It was a giant ball of flesh. That ball split open to reveal a fully formed child who could already walk and talk. As a kid, Nezha was bold and mischievous. While playing near the sea, he stirred up trouble by using his magical windfire wheels and chaos ring, accidentally causing a quake in the underwater palace of the Dragon King. When the Dragon King's son came to confront him, Nezha fought back and ended up killing him, even offering his tendons as a belt for his father. The Dragon King was outraged and threatened to flood Nezha's hometown in revenge. To stop it, Nezha made the ultimate sacrifice. He took his own life, returning his body to his parents as a form of apology. But that wasn't the end. Later, his spirit was reborn in a new body made from lotus roots, thanks to a Taoist immortal. With a fresh start and even more divine power, Nezha rose again, this time as a celestial warrior, eventually earning the title Great god of the three altars of the sea. He's powerful, iconic, and beloved, but he's still a youthful and somewhat chaotic figure who serves under higher celestial authorities. That's why we place him at C tier. Dragon King. The Dragon King, or Long Wang, rules over the seas, storms, and all things water. Technically, there are 4 Dragon Kings, each governing one of the seas in the north, south, east, and west, but most stories treat them as one mighty figure. He's not at the very top of the celestial hierarchy. He still answers to higher gods like the Jade Emperor. But down on Earth, he's the one people turned to when they needed rain, calm seas, or protection from floods. Sailors and fishermen would make offerings before setting out to sea, hoping to avoid typhoons. He's undeniably powerful in his domain, but his reach is limited, and he doesn't sit at the top of the divine food chain. That's why we're placing him at C tier. We left out the Buddha and Bodhisattvas from this ranking because they come from a different system. Buddhism, which has its own rich mythology and philosophy. But if you're curious about how those figures fit into Chinese culture, let me know in the comments.